Alright, so in this video we'll walk through the heat bed and the dual zones. I don't have it mounted yet, but walk through it quick. It's actually sitting way back there. So you can see there's actually two sets of wires coming out. And I have them just sleeve the nylon, but there's actually one for the inner zone, one for the outer zone. And I just have the thermistor wire sitting here ready to go. And my Kenevo bed actually just has a hole in the middle, which the thermistor will screw right. We'll go right through there and into the actual aluminum plate. Basically wire through the loom back here into the print bed, and a bit of mess of the wires, and I'll post up schematics which will make this a lot clearer. But the way I have my two relays set up, I have one for the inner zone, one for the outer zone. The inner zone is basically always powered and is getting a 120 volt directly from the mains inlet, and it's actually going through line through here, and the relay switches the line, not the ground. So that's something I learned that was recommended to me by many people, to switch the line, not the ground. And then basically you have the DC control voltage, right? So this is a DC to AC relay, because you have AC up here and DC down here. And this DC control line is actually what's plugged into the ramps. Again, a rear MKS on the excuse the mess of wires here, but it's actually the D8 on the ramps, if I remember right. And I just used 16 gauge wire. Again, this could be thinner. It's not really setting any amperage. It's just basically turning on the relay on and off. And if you put a multimeter on here and check for continuity, you'll hear this thing go on and off. Again, this is an optical relay, so you don't physically hear anything unless you use a multimeter to listen to the continuity. And then it goes through it's so simple if you're just doing the inner zone, right? You just have one relay switching mains going to your ramps, MKS, whatever board you want to use. Now when you have the dual zone, that's where things get a little complicated, and depends on how you wire it. So you could wire your dual zone with a simple switch, and just a physical tactile 120 volt switch. So you'd come in here, you say, hey, I want the outer zone, you'd flip that switch and you'd have the outer zone on. And that wouldn't be that complicated, right? You would not need this relay. You would just be switching 120 volts, so you better not touch it, because you're potentially going to fry yourself. So I did not want to go that route, because I wanted to keep all the high voltage electricity in the back, away from any hands, nice and covered. Keep it away from people and curious kids and stuff like that. So all the 120 volt stuff is back there, and I actually used my second opto relay that I have labeled here outer zone. And the intention is, again, this is switching the main. So what happens is the mains voltage that comes that goes through here gets switched on, and then goes out to the inner zone. Actually has, and again, I'll wire this, will be much more clear when it's actually with the wiring diagram, but basically goes into this into these Waco connectors. Again, you can use a barrier strip, whatever you want, but the idea is it's coming into here, and this Fraser is nylon, so it's not a big deal. The 120 comes into here, goes to, you can see the white cable that goes to the inner zone, and then this red cable is then going to the outer zone over here, right on the input of the second relay. What then happens is I have a simple 12 volt lighted switch up here, which it's not on right now, but the idea is it's off, your outer zone is off. You want to turn on your outer zone, you flip it up. This lights up green. Again, this could be any kind of switch. It's much easier if you don't use a lighted switch, but I wanted that lighting for indication. So that lighted switch needs some voltage. It's hard to see back here. I think it's anywhere between 3 to 12 volts. So I just have 12 volts going to it. That's split off of the 12 volts that going to the rest of the fans and everything else. So that 12 volts helps light up that little LED in the front. And then I have a wire coming down this loom in the back here. You can see that one coming back there. And then that That wire then goes all the way up here, and you have your ground and your wire line, whatever you want to call it. And then when you flip that switch, that then turns on this relay, allowing the 120 line to flow from here through the relay and then out to the outer zone. So a bit of a complex just in trying to explain it, but the wiring diagram actually makes more sense, and I could walk through that another time when I have it up, and I'll share that with you guys. So that's it for the dual zone wiring. It's really not that bad once you get your hand wrapped around it.